Are we waiting on anybody?
Nope, we're ready.
Okay. Everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call the meeting to order on this date, December 16th, 2019. You want to do the roll call? Matt?
Leaders?
Present.
Dietrich?
Present.
Bingham?
Present.
Flagum?
Yeah.
Larson?
Here.
Let the record show that Rick Larson and Weedy are absent.
Okay. So everyone's had a chance to read the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes or make any corrections?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay. This one right here. Okay, I'd like to read a statement. The public hearings will be conducted pursuant to the Commission's rules of procedures. We'll first hear the report of the Planning Director, Matt, on the detailed information and observations regarding the request before the Commission, if not done so in written form prior to the hearing. Next, we'll take the testimony of the applicant and his or her witnesses. Upon completion of the applicant's testimony, I will call upon the members of the audience wishing to be heard concerning the request. Persons in favor of the request shall be heard first, followed by those opposing it. At any time during the presentation of the testimony, the members of the Commission may interrupt to ask questions or to make comments on what has been said. Upon completion of the testimony, the applicant will be allowed to make closing statements to the Commission. Upon completion of the applicant's closing statement, I will entertain a motion from the Commission to close the public hearing on the request. The Commission reserves the right to ask questions of any member of the audience. However, we will not hear any unsolicited statements unless the public hearing is first opened. Each speaker addressing the Commission shall step forward to the podium and state their name, address before proceeding with their testimony or evidence. This Commission shall not be bound by strict rules of evidence, but does reserve the right to exclude evidence or testimony that it may deem to be irrelevant, immaterial, incompetent, unduly repetitious. As chairman, I will rules on all questions relating to the admissibility of the evidence, which may be overruled by the majority of the Commission. Continuance may be granted by the Commission in case for good cause shown to be interested party who has entered their appearance. The Commission may request a continuance of the hearing for the purpose of giving further notice, further evidence, gathering further information, touring the proposed site, or for such other reasons as the Commission may find sufficient. In such, we shall state the specific reasons of the continuance and set a date, time, and place when the matter will be continued. All official actions of the Commission will be made at a public meeting by motions made, seconded, and polling of the membership. If conditions are imposed, such conditions shall be included in the motion or amendment thereto. Our final decisions will be prepared in writing and will be part of the public record of this Commission. Okay, upon this time, I would like to ask for the motion to open the public hearing of the case number. Let me get to that real quick. SUB or sub dash 2019-9.
I move that we open public hearing for sub dash 2019-09,
Okay.
public hearing.
Second that.
Second, okay. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Public hearing is now open. Okay, I'd like to have the applicant come forward and discuss their case. And please state your name, address, firm.
Good evening, Joe Zadina with Lamford Harrison Associates, 14710 West Dodge Road, here alongside the applicant as well as their legal counsel. Just want to maybe give a brief overview of the project. We've been working with Matt and Pam and the group for close to a year now, maybe a little bit over a year on this project. Recently submitted the sketch plat application, had that approved, and are happy to be here tonight talking about the preliminary plat. It's approximately, the parcel we're talking about is approximately 31 acres in size. The applicant would like to subdivide. It's in the current, maintain the current zoning of I-1, 14 lots varying in size between 1 acre minimum and upwards of 4 acres. We've talked to some of the attachments alluded to. We've discussed with Council Bluffs Waterworks for water service. We made application to their board for water service. We've talked to the county engineer about the appropriate cross sections and roadway design through the development, along with what may need to be done along 192nd. We've discussed sanitary sewer. We will be, as indicated in the application, we will be doing a lot by lot sanitary sewer mound system. So each individual lot, they will not be connected to any formal sewer system. It's not in the area. Water main is in 192nd Street. There is no sewer available for us to connect to. This property is in the flood plain. A portion of it is, the portion that maybe abuts 192nd the most. It's been filled. We probably about a year and some months ago, got the floodplain development permit and grading permit for all the activity. If you've driven by the site, it certainly looks different than it did a year and a half ago. But we're here to, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have regarding surveying or engineering components of the project.
So this is south of,
It's our screen is being temperamental.
Okay.
I can't figure out
what are you trying to put up on that one?
Just the plat.
Oh, it's like,
Yeah.
what.
Is it-
Give everybody reference what our projector is.
Is it coming on now?
No, it's
It's
notorious
dead, right?
for shutting off, so.
So describe the area. So it's north of Google. Is that Google plant? Right?
Well, the way I look at it, I'm
Or
pretty
south,
familiar
I don't
with
know.
Lewis Central Schools. It's just south of Lewis Central Schools, right off South Omaha Bridge Road and 192nd. Let's see. I don't know if that's there is an existing, Jason, there is an existing building which is on lot 1 of the property. That building is used for.
I currently have at least roll-right tarp systems, so they're putting tarps on semi-trailers, mostly grain trailers.
And so minus that, the rest of the ground is undeveloped within the boundary of the
Sure.
plat. Additionally, it's maybe worth noting, Jason, or the developer, was able to successfully obtain from the city of Council Bluffs the right-of-way for the railroad.
Sure.
So we're able to maybe make this project a little bit bigger. That's primarily on the east side of the project where that was abutting. As far as storm drainage goes too, because that kind of guided some of the storm drainage, we'll follow all historical drainage patterns. We're not going to put water where it wasn't originally going. We're going to expect each individual lot owner to control their own stormwater as well, so that we make sure we're good neighbors about the project. I know Jason and Tina and legal counsel are working on some covenants that were maybe submitted in draft form. I know that was mentioned in the report to be something that would be submitted formally later, but that is something that above and beyond, some of the minimum zoning ordinances and setbacks they'd like to have a little bit of control over what this development wants to look like.
So the development, what type of business is industry?
We've got some interest already.
That's kind of
Would you like
a
me to
general
stand
marketing
up?
view. Yeah, give me a general marketing view, layout of,
Can we need him to come up?
yeah, if you want to come up, speak. And basically, before I say that, so you're part of the group?
Yes, I'm sorry, Joe Zadina with the engineer,
Okay.
Jason Armstrong, developer.
Sure.
So I'm Jason Armstrong.
Yeah, thanks.
3131 Haskell Street in Omaha. So we got this property, it's been close to 3 years ago, I think, 2.5, 3 years ago. And been working towards this kind of since then.
Uh-huh.
And so the idea of this, it's zoned I-1, so there's some things you can't do. You can't do food processing plants and things like that, but for the most part, industrial users. So you're talking metal buildings, kind of what's there now. There's one building that we have there currently, it's a 15,000 square foot building. And then to the south of us, Easton has a couple buildings there. I don't know if they own both of them or one of them, but metal buildings there. So kind of same idea of an industrial tenant user. Obviously, whoever is looking to purchase the land, would have their own idea of what it was. But first thing that comes to my mind is kind of like contractor shops.
Sure, industrial park type thing.
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
industrial user now.
Whatever you want, but based, here's your metal building or some type of.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thought process behind it because it is industrial.
Sure. And then the roads, you guys are gonna be putting the roads in, or how's
So
that
we're
work?
working on a few things with the roadway. So, we were working with the Iowa DOT
Uh-huh.
to get a hard surface put on 192nd Street. So currently it's like asphalt grindings on it.
Yep.
And we're looking to get that hard surface with the DOT come spring. So down to the property from South Omaha Bridge Road going south to our facility and our property line there, they hard surface that, and then the county would take in the new roads internally as county roads instead of private roads. It'd be hard
Sure.
surfaced, well, we got concrete in there. We're looking at both options with John Rasmussen, with asphalt or concrete roads internally, and he's going back and forth with Joe. I think they're on concrete right now is what they're specing for it. And, internal roads.
And
that-
the weight limit, is it able to
So
support
there's
that?
Well, there's a couple different things that's going on with this project. Jason and I have worked together over the last probably almost 2 years now. We did get the city of Council Bluffs waive their right of review on the subdivision. It isn't within the 2-mile agreement. And so it's kind of a first time for the city to have waived their right of really this would have had to been annexed into the city if, the 2-mile agreement had been followed. Jason and the county are in partnership with applying for a RISE grant through the Iowa DOT. That RISE grant is gonna pay for 50% of what it's gonna cost to upgrade the road
Good.
from South Omaha Bridge Road down to, the subdivision. Jason would then pick up half that cost at whatever is not, whatever the RISE grant doesn't cover, then Jason is gonna pick up half of it, the county is gonna pick up half of it. We have a TIF, urban redevelopment plan kicking off to support the upgrades that are going on into this development. That's with the attorneys right now up in Des Moines, and that will come down through, and we'll have to sign a joint agreement with the city of Council Bluffs on that as well to move this project forward. The covenants piece of it, where you're talking about like what kind of buildings and things that you're gonna have in there. You're talking about the metal building has down there right now has like a 4-foot wainscoting of brick that kind of goes around the
Yeah.
exterior front of it. While our zoning ordinance or the building code side of it does not dictate, we do not have design standards, just
Okay.
minimum code is what we have. That's something that they were thinking about working into their covenants
That's good.
to, it'll kind of help out, even in our continued talks with the city on this development. It's kind of what they're looking for, is to see something maybe a little like that wainscoting of brick up front, so they don't just have, when it does
Corrugated
come,
steel look.
when it does come time to annex in the development, then it's not just, the steel buildings down there. But the contractors, the reason the kind of real demand for this came up is because there are a lot of contractors from inside Council Bluffs that are getting pushed out based on the codes and changes that the city are doing. And it makes their businesses more viable to be out in the county, where the paving standards and things aren't quite as stringent as what is inside the city limits. So he has seen a lot of kind of interest. And then Advanced Southwest Iowa has been working on part of this too, and they generate a lot of those people calling in, looking for sites on places to build, and there is high demand for what Jason is proposing in this industrial park subdivision. Even though it's the first major subdivision that's kind of coming before us in recent years now, but I think it's gonna be a good addition for the county to have.
So you're gonna own the property and lease it out, or
So there's gonna
sell
be-
each?
There's gonna be options there. So if somebody wants to buy a lot,
Uh-huh.
build their building, we can sell them a lot. And if somebody wants to come in and have us build a suit, I can build it and lease it to them on a longer term lease also.
So the sewer issue, so the septic tank basically, right?
Correct.
So some people clean it, some people don't clean it. So for a covenants, do you have like a plan and, to force them to do it because, people are cheap?
The individual septic system?
Yeah, if that's what you propose per lot, right? Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. And that's what we got Gabe here with us. So he's drafting all of that.
Okay.
And, I don't know, have we addressed any of that yet?
We haven't addressed the sewer system on that, but then if it is that sort of a septic tank system, there will be a consequence that will imply that you do have to take care of your tank. If you don't take care of said tank, this is what will happen, this is how long it takes to happen.
Right, that's coming up within your rules, basically.
And that would really be more handled through the immediate of what we already have adopted for
Okay.
septic
Right.
ordinances. So
That's
if, the minute you're discharging above the ground, we can go in and shut down
Okay.
that discharge point of it. Just in the area that they're in, and a lot of with the industrial lot standards and having water there, they're gonna be 1 acre lots, the majority of them will be kind of And that's, so you're looking at filtration pod, basically being put in there, probably UV light, daylighted out from that. They've come down in cost quite a bit lately, and I mean, it's not gonna be, none of the businesses that we've foreseen having interest in this so far are like customer driven. So you're not gonna have customers coming to the site to go to them. And so it's gonna be more like a shop, restroom type
Okay.
deal.
I don't see
Sounds
a
good.
lot of
Okay.
water discharge.
Just curious.
And then Gabe's also working on the rest of the covenants, as we were saying. So, as Matt was saying, there's not a lot of minimum requirements on the county to build these things. So, I've been out touring different industrial parks, and I work a lot with them anyways, just doing construction. But I think if you do that minimum of wainscot on road-facing sides of some sort of stone, whether it's stone or brick or some sort of masonry, something masonry at a minimum of wainscot, it really brings the look up.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of a goal there is what, so as you want affordable building sites for contractors and things like that, what you don't want is a lot of negative activity, right?
Sure.
So if you can have a design standard that costs a little more and it's still affordable to build in that county, I feel like it'll deter some of the negative buyers out.
Right.
Because it's not bottom of the
Good
bucket
idea.
price point. And then just even things like that, we looked at trash enclosures today and, just trying to say, okay, how do we make this affordable, right? And you have some sort of standard, but, and what we kind of came up with is something to match the building, right? So if it can match the metal on the buildings for like, say, a dumpster enclosure on the
Okay.
property. So instead of just a bunch of dumpsters sitting out there, it's another thing to address, right? It's okay, so what's gotta be, it could be the stone that's on the building, it could be the metal siding that's on the building, but something to enclose that. So that's the type of things we're gonna try to work on. In the
Landscape type
landscape minimums, we're trying to figure out how much, how little.
type trees and
Yeah.
bushes.
And Gabe gave me a really good, and it was pretty in-depth standard to start with, and I started redlining out, okay, this is too much, too much, too much. So we're working on all those things to figure out what is the proper fit there, of how many trees, how far set back, what size trees, and other landscaping as well as besides trees, what's required as well.
Good. That's it. That's all I have. Anybody else have questions?
Just so I'm clear, so you're not looking at changing any zoning from what it currently is, you're just looking at just simply creating more lots on this parcel.
Right. That's a correct statement. Yep.
I believe it's in land.
Okay. Good. You
so
can-
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Ask anyone else.
Oh, I do have one more
Go ahead.
question, sir. Okay, and so the subdivision, so if for some reason you don't get the assistance with the road to improve the road, and then does that mean the subdivision will not happen? Is that, I mean, or
Right
you,
now, we have it on pretty good standing that we're gonna we're gonna get the 50%.
gotcha.
We went for the 80%, they kicked it back, and they said,
But if for some reason you don't get the 50%, and, I mean, I guess, Matt, I'm asking you, I guess, is so if they can't upgrade the road, then the project's done, is that, or will it still move forward?
that would probably be something where Jason would come back to the county board and at that time and say, you know, listen, if the grant didn't go through, what contribution levels can go where, and what can this TIF of the project handle to pay for? Because I think we are gonna see quite a bit of increase in the valuations from the property through this TIF, and it may be something that the TIF can carry the weight of it.
Right. But the road, the way it is currently probably wouldn't be sufficient.
One of the good things
to-
about the timing of it is that it became a DOT haul route. So with all the construction work that had been going on down there, the DOT haul route, well, there were certain standards on the DOT basically had to keep upgrading the road at our request. So it is upgraded quite a bit further from what it was, and they still have, the last time we talked to the engineer's office, he was getting ready to issue another order to the DOT to come back in and do some more maintenance to the road on it. And so, really what they were looking at the beginning was just doing it. The only requirement it would really need is a 4-inch overlay of asphalt on there to upgrade it to a full depth road.
What is it, by 2 minutes now?
Yes.
Okay, so we did, another discussion.
There's always been quite a bit of, I mean, like, cause isn't Easton Trucking, are they down there? or
Yeah,
something
Easton
like that? I
Trucking
mean,
down
there's
there.
always, to me, like, there's always been a lot of
There's
traffic.
there
but-
was another trucking firm that was renting a place from, I can't think of his name, but it's a little triangular lot a little bit further down from
Right.
there, so.
And the internal roads we're looking at doing, we're making for semi-traffic specs, so.
Good.
I mean, they're industrial lots, they'll be spec for thick enough
Good plans,
Cover it.
good information.
And with this, development too, there's a few new agreements that, we've never utilized before that we're going with. One is a road agreement, and then the other one is just a developer's agreement on just the different standards that they have to go through. And it's been, it's getting closer to the point where both of those agreements will be ready to be signed by the board of supervisors and by the developer, but we're just,
What's the road agreement? Is that with the roads department? Is that what you're talking about?
no, the road agreement will again be signed with the board of supervisors and the developer on, it's just,
To maintain the road and own it, right?
no, it is on the build out of the roads.
Build out.
How it's gonna get built out, who's gonna pay for it, where's the funding being held at, I mean, there's just,
Outlines the whole timeline, payment plan.
Yeah.
specs.
Okay.
What's your timeline for the whole project?
So, I was hoping it was done, but, no, realistically, so we got this meeting, we have another meeting in January, we have the DOT RISE grant meeting in
Okay.
February. After those 3 meetings, we should be able to start construction, so my
Project
goal
timeline
is
then?
project timeline is spring 2020 start, March, April, May, getting started.
How long would it take to complete the,
The infrastructure part?
Yep. ready for billing?
Okay, so it depends, we're trying to figure out a little bit of the bid process, how it goes out for bid for the different contractors, we're working through some of that stuff. If that can get out for bid, you were hoping in, which month?
I would think February's latest.
Okay.
We should be able to bid our infrastructure. The water one, Commonwealth Water Works giving us the option, either they do it,
Or rural water?
yeah, real raw, either they can put the plans out, they'll design it, okay?
Uh-huh.
And either they bid it, or we could bid it under those specifications. And so we're kind of debating like what's the best, most economical and efficient way to do that. Additionally, we'll need, some service, some Mid-American, needs to bring in power.
Sure.
So a lot of times,
That's the other question.
your water and power are, we can control a little bit more of the paving, right? But the water and power, we've got to determine how quickly those can be provided to us, because that's really what's kind of the linchpin for.
In Black Hills
One-
and gas.
One thing you're forgetting here. What is that? Utility wise. It's overlooked here and there.
telephone and internet.
Right.
See, I knew he was gonna say.
So that's what I work in.
Okay.
So I've seen
You're
other
absolutely
developers
right.
build a development, they forgot to bring the phone line in. And then the people are moved in there and they're like, hey, how do I get internet? Well, CenturyLink says it's $200,000 to bring it a half a mile in. So that's the other question, have you done that, and do we have a process in place for the county when we do these development approvals? Here's the things you need to bring in, that's not overlooked.
Not on that utility, all
We
the
need
other
to do that.
utilities we do have.
Because right now, if you have a
Yeah.
business down there, you're non-functional, you can't get a hold of anybody, cell service sucks,
Yeah,
and you're dead,
yeah. I don't
Great
disagree.
thought.
walkie-talkie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the
I'll
thing,
have
so
to
my
see.
question to you is,
No, so we haven't had that conversation.
was it ever thought of?
Nope.
Okay,
Not to
there
me, I
you
haven't
go.
heard, that's the first thought I've seen of it.
You
But
should do that,
I do have, so the tenant that's there now
or Cox or whoever, you know.
Who?
has to have.
So you got
service, so I'll have
CenturyLink
to
and
see who they
Cox.
got it through.
But you want a primary utility, not these secondary,
Correct.
third
Yeah.
reseller, third parties, because you're restricting, because there's not necessarily enough throughput for business.
Right.
It might be, small business or small retail or a home use only. But, like DSL only works certain length. Cox Cable has different type of services, so you need to look at both to explore, hey, can we get a commitment to build out, or what's the commitment for a build?
Do you know where we're at? Do you have a recommendation on a service provider?
I work for AT&T, it's just,
No, but I'm just wondering.
But they don't-
has it been- Okay.
so you've got two options here.
Right.
CenturyLink and Cox.
Yep.
So you need to look at the plant engineers, not sales.
Right.
Plant, and if you're not familiar with that, then
Yep.
that's another problem.
Oh, no, is this something, the major utilities, even as identified in our attachments, didn't include telecommunications.
Say that last part.
The attachment that included the list of utilities did not include telecommunications, so yeah, you're right, we overlooked that, so.
And then there's different things within Iowa too, I don't know, to get infrastructure put in place, like grants, to build out.
Mhm.
So that's another thing maybe you want to explore,
Sure.
just to help you out. But if you don't have telephone,
I appreciate
it's like
that.
having a tent with no service,
All the thoughts we had and conversations, we haven't really had that one. So
Overlooked.
That's a good one to have at this phase versus like you said.
Because the
what you
wireless,
got there,
they say, hey, I got cell phone service. Yeah, great, but, internet,
Yeah.
local phone service.
Yeah.
Or you get a business in there that wants to do a high-speed You know, like Google, you know, that you probably got some infrastructure down there. You just gotta tap into that, you know, minimum point of entry wherever that cable is. It might be half mile or a mile out, but you have to figure out what the cost is to bring services in.
Theirs.
What was that now?
I wonder who provides Google's, you think they probably.
Well, Google might have their own too, so I don't, you know, might hook up with Google. I don't know.
Yeah, they're probably not letting us hook into that one.
But look at that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Oh, we can't do that yet.
Can't do that.
Nope, we gotta,
Yes.
anybody wants to
Oh,
come
yeah, that's
forward
right.
in favor of this case, please come forward. In favor.
We got busy talking for you.
Anybody, in favor? Okay, anybody, wants to come forward to oppose this? Okay,
Not really opposed or.
come on, yeah, just, step forward, and state your name and address.
My name is Joseph Skinner, my wife Karen. We live on 192nd Street, 19, what's our address? 13909, I'm sorry. Right on the corner of East-South Omaha Bridge Road and 192nd Street.
Mhm.
And since I've been doing this interstate work, traffic has been crazy, really crazy. And so it took me about a year and a half to get approval to have a DOT to come out and maintain the road properly. They finally did that about a month or so ago, which was great. Our biggest concern is, and I'm trying to visualize where this is gonna be. It's gonna be south of us.
You have a map you can show me?
Yeah, where the,
So you're right here on this corner?
yeah, that's right there.
And their house is, so is that first big building down here?
Road type?
Yep.
Yep.
So like, and that's the parcel.
Okay.
So that's down the street.
Okay.
So it's right between Roll Right and East Building.
Right, okay, that's where I was visualizing. One of our biggest concerns is, and I know this last spring we had extra rain and ice melt, but the drainage down there, by Easton Trucking was not draining properly. We have a little tributary that runs through our yard. It goes under South Omaha Bridge Road through our yard and dumps into the drainage, down just south of us, and it goes on down toward Easton Trucking and past. But what happens is the drainage under the driveways is inadequate, and everything backs up, flows over the road into the field across the street from our house, and just subsequently dumps into our yard and completely floods our yard out. It's been an issue. So my question, I guess, is if they're gonna redo the roads, which would be a great thing, what about drainage?
Yeah.
And, you know, are they gonna take care of that issue that's down south of us? Because it is a big issue.
How far off that road would you say they would be? Or that area, based on what you see there? His house versus the.
I don't have any idea.
So the drainage is responsible for what? The homeowner, the landowner today?
What do you mean by that?
So if, is that what it's doing? It's draining off the land and overflowing from
Yeah. it
one
goes-
person's property over the road?
We pay, in our property taxes every year, we pay a small fee
For drainage?
for them to come in and access in our yard,
Okay,
property,
sure.
to take care of that. But what happened is, in where it meets the drainage, I guess you'd have to go down there to look at it.
Mhm.
But just south of us, where our property ends, the water flows and it cannot go any further down by, there's like 2 or 3 driveways. In fact, I think they're building a new home down there, someone is. And they got a nice sized drain pipe underneath their driveway, but the rest of them are really small and they get clogged with debris. And what happens, and this is a little ways just south, probably just north of Easton and just south of us, so in between that small area there.
Yeah.
Debris getting caught up inside those, and then everything backs up and just completely flows into our yard, which is not our responsibility. That would be a city or a county.
The county then. And so there's 2 things here. If this, based on, your primary focus is gonna be working with the county roads to correct that issue, right?
Well, there are
For
2
him.
entities. It'd be the drainage district with which their property lies in. Those drainage districts, like you said, he's getting assessed a fee, and they do collect funds, and then they can go in and do repairs on the drainage that goes all the way through their drainage district. Then the other part of it would be then, with the county engineer's office to ensure that the ditches are cleared
Sure.
out to where the water can, but I mean, it is, the city and the county both have said it's a struggle down there because it is so flat
It's been.
that it's hard to get the water to move in any direction.
So the drainage district, who manages that? Is that a department within the county or a separate entity that's?
It's a separate entity, they have their own board
Have you
and,
discussed that with them, sir?
it's usually,
Yeah, I've talked to John Rasmus, I've talked to the county supervisors, I've talked to all kinds of people about that. And they're just saying, well, at one point, we're gonna pave that road
Okay.
and it's gonna be taken care of, but that, I don't know, that's my.
Yeah, that's another problem, but based on that's one problem, you have an existing problem. With the roads that's coming in today, or going to be put in, do you see that overlapping or correcting the issue?
That's my question. If they're gonna put a new road in, are they gonna take care of the drainage as well? And is
I
there,
don't know.
or is it gonna just completely keep dumping off?
You guys
in
wanna
my yard?
discuss that?
I'd have to double check the topography, but correct me, are we downstream of your residence?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're south, he's
Right.
north, right on the corner of 197.
So we have a responsibility not to increase our runoff.
Right.
From the project, and we don't intend to. We will manage ours with kind of a rural section, it'll be ditch sections, and it'll culvert into the same ditch, I believe, that you're referring to, in the exact location that it is today. And then as the individual lots are developing, putting their buildings on, the requirement will be that they build smaller detention cells on their property that hold the water as required by SUDOS and the requirements within that document, and let it into the ditch within the right-of-way at the appropriate rate. So we call it pre-construction and post-construction, post-construction shall not exceed pre-construction conditions. And so, not to make the problem any worse
So it's not gonna get better, I should say, it's not gonna get worse, but
Right.
it's not gonna get better. So.
well, I think what they're telling, what, the supervisors and maybe the engineer was telling them is when they come down through with that new road, they're going to, they'll
Rip it up.
replace those tubes then that connect back into the road, and then that would.
Should fix problem.
Is that the culvert pipes we're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think Brett's probably right. The main thing is just working with the
Those two entities.
the drainage district, whatever drainage district you're in, and the roads department, whenever they go to do that road, so.
Well, I do know that Brian Easton has been battling this for a long time. And he's shared, I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but he's shared a lot about the problems that he has with all that backed up water coming because it's not adequate draining downstream. I mean, even further south from where you guys are building, it's a mess down there and it's not properly draining.
Maybe
It's gonna continue to be
here's a
issue.
suggestion, if, like, engineering, local person, just communicate, here's an experience that you see personally. Help minimize it, engineer a solution, or minimize the whatever, just help better plan, and then while he's working, the county's working, so
I'll
that
get
you're
your
all,
contact information from you, and
Okay.
then we can, I can figure out the drainage district and talk to John upstairs about what the new road means on the culvert side.
Okay. Okay, so you're leaving no curbs, just blacktop.
Or concrete.
Or concrete, okay. And then maybe I can get some information, switch.
yeah, you can do that after if you want,
Okay,
And then,
absolutely.
any other questions or anybody else for or against?
I just wanna know, what do you mean by new road?
They're gonna upgrade 192nd Street from South Omaha Bridge Road down past the development.
So we're
Put
gonna
a
get a
new
new
road
road
in.
in front of our house?
Yes.
Correct,
With no gutters,
correct.
okay.
And then the engineer solution, that's why I said hook up, and then
Right.
you give your opinion, because if you work together, hey, you've seen it, they haven't seen it, or they haven't thought of this. So if you work together, then benefits both parties. But go ahead.
So, Matt, you don't anticipate what they're doing causing any further problems for these guys?
On the road side of it, I would see that changing from where they're at now. On the drainage district side of it, we're trying to figure out right now, and it's not because of the flood, not because of the development, how to work better with these drainage districts to figure out, because a lot of it is when a drainage district is just a conglomerate of landowners that get put together and they have a taxing ability to levy taxes against their own land and neighboring lands to do drainage work through there. The problem comes is that with it just being a group of landowners, not really everybody knows drainage laws and what you can do and what you can't do and how you can do these things. So our pitch has been that to allow us to come in and help those drainage districts organize themselves, figure out what can be done, what can't be done, get engineers into place and start actually getting some of this work done rather than just, you know, when your landowners kind of come together, sometimes you just end up just talking about things and then you walk away and nothing's really decided. To where we can actually help formalize their meetings, much like we are sitting here today, to say, you know, this is a drainage district, this is what we're gonna discuss, this is how we're gonna do it. And that part of once we get those, and, you know, unfortunately, that won't be a quick answer, I'm sure, because there's gonna have to be a lot of trust building in those processes and everything else where they don't just feel like the county's coming in to take over what they're already doing. But if we can get in there and are able to help do some of those things, then with at least one drainage district, hopefully the other drainage districts would kind of bounce off of that and see what successes we're able to have. And then that will help start to correct some of these drainage districts' backed up log of work that needs done in order to help expedite this water out of our county.
Probably see that with that though, taxation district, collecting the taxes, they may not have enough money collected already, or there's gonna be a substantial increase in taxes like the levies, you know.
And we're working with the state to get funding for the damage that came by the flood. We realize what we've said right now is we're $5 to $7 million in the backlog.
Yeah.
So we need $5 to $7 million to put into these drainage districts right now because the landowners that are down there could never afford really to come in there and say,
Sure.
to pay for $200,000 worth of drainage work that needs to be done.
For 4 guys.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we get that backlog cleaned up by the state injecting some of these funds into us, then, you know, that'll put us on a better path moving forward. But we're trying to write a system that's been in place for, you know, the 1930s.
Well, it sounds like it might almost be a blessing in disguise that all this is coming in and
work together.
we'll get some help too, yeah.
Just when you put the road in, have them
That's your guy.
angle it off away from my house.
Okay, thanks for your input.
I can see you out there advising them.
Okay, so if no further, okay, hang on a second. Anybody else opposed? If not, ask for staff's recommendation.
Our recommendation is to send the recommendation of the Board of Supervisors of approval of the subdivision with the road agreement and the development agreement.
Okay. Anything else? You want to add? Okay, any discussion amongst our members here?
I make the motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Or whatever, aye, whatever, same thing. A little Australian in me. Okay, public hearing's now closed. Okay, there's no more further discussion.
Matt?
Yeah.
You want approval of this request plus the road and
I want a recommendation of approval with the road agreement and the developer's agreement
As part of it.
I move to approve case number 2019-09 with a road agreement and a development agreement.
Do we have a second?
All second.
Okay, it's been moved, seconded. If you want to do a roll call, then Matt will tally the votes.
Leaders?
Yes.
Dietrich?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Bingham?
Yes.
Flagman?
Yes.
Say it right this time. Thank you.
Okay, applicant's been approved. If there's any other business, Matt,
No other business for the commission.
can I make a motion to adjourn? We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.